They all think it's about more detail, but that's not how memory works.
Step into the rain-soaked, neon-drenched world of Blade Runner, a sci-fi masterpiece that forever reshaped how we imagine the future. Since its debut in 1982, Blade Runner has become more than just a film. It's a cultural landmark and an influential sci-fi world that explores important questions about what it means to be human in a large and detailed universe. The integration of dystopian noir with haunting futurism, its legacy has only grown stronger over the past 4 decades, expanding across sequels, short films, novels, anime, and beyond. In today's video, we'll dive headfirst into the complete Blade Runner timeline, as well as into the fascinating characters, and figure out the cool mythology behind one of the biggest sci-fi stories ever made. Let's begin.
Painful live in fear, isn't it?
Origins of the Blade Runner universe. To truly appreciate the Blade Runner universe and its dark beauty and dystopian vibe, we need to revisit its roots. It all started with a book written in 1968 by one of sci-fi's most intriguing authors, Philip K. Dick, whose book, Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep, takes place in the year 1992. But the newer editions change the year to 2021, and even publish it as Blade Runner. The story takes place in a ruined San Francisco after a nuclear war called World War Terminus. Because of the war, Earth has suffered greatly. Owning real animals has become a luxury, while poorer people can only afford realistic robotic animals. The United Nations encourages people to leave the planet to protect the human race from radioactive dust and its harmful effects. But is the dust affecting? This radioactive dust is constant. It's everywhere all the time, and it's poisoning the sky. Animals are going extinct, and cities are starting to fall into decay. You can say that it's a total environmental collapse, which is why humans are trying to migrate to off-world colonies. And they're also given an incentive to do so. Each family that moves to these off-world colonies will get a custom-made android servant, which is also referred to as Andy. Even though these androids only work on colonies like Mars, many try to escape to Earth to find freedom and avoid being treated as slaves. They look so much like humans that only an empathy test can tell them apart. Bounty hunters hunt down and retire androids that pretend to be humans. And by retire, I don't mean switching off and restarting them as a new being, it means killing them off. Now that we're past the basics, let's get acquainted with the main protagonist. Rick Deckard is a bounty hunter from the San Francisco Police Department. He's given the job of finding and retiring 6 dangerous androids from the new Nexus 6 model that have escaped from Mars to Earth. Deckard hopes that by completing this mission, he can earn enough money to buy a real animal to replace his electric sheep, which would help cheer up his depressed wife, Iran. You could say this is when bounty hunters, or Blade Runners, officially became the go-to guys for taking down rogue androids. Without going into too much detail about the novel in this video, we can assure you that the rest of the text is pretty interesting. However, it goes in a totally different direction from the 1982 movie, so it's time to check out some of those differences. We should be aware of the key differences before diving into the flick that helped establish the cyberpunk genre. So the film is set in Los Angeles in 2019, instead of San Francisco in 1992 like the novel. Key ideas from the book, such as the Penfield mood organ, the empathy box, Buster Friendly, and Mercerism, are not included in the film. In the movie, Deckard is divorced, whereas in the book, he is married to Iran, or he has a wife. His relationship with Rachel is explored in more depth, and in the original version of the film, they have a happily ever after ending. In the film, Deckard has retired from bounty hunting, but in the book, he's still active in that role. The film doesn't show the dust that's always present in the novel. In the book, the dust is radioactive, present constantly, and the male protagonist has to wear lead codpieces to avoid becoming sterile. In the film, bounty hunters are referred to as Blade Runners, a term not found in the novel. The movie refers to androids as replicants, while the book calls them Andys. Luba Luft's profession changes from a gifted opera singer in the book to an exotic dancer in the film. In the novel, Rick admires her youthful appearance, and he feels sorrow when Phil Resch, another bounty hunter, kills her. This emotional struggle is not present in the film. In the novel, androids seem to accept their fate when faced with danger. They simply give up without resisting much. In contrast, the film's androids fight back more aggressively. The androids in the book aren't as good at fighting as the ones in the movies, where the action scenes are way more intense. Plus, in the book, book, Roy, who leads the rebel androids, doesn't actually face off with his creator. He just stays hidden in Isidore's apartment until Rick tracks him down. In the book, Rachel and Pris look exactly the same, but in the movie, they're played by two actresses who look quite different, Sean Young and Daryl Hannah. Also in the novel, J.R. Isidore is called a chicken head, meaning he's not the sharpest tool in the shed, so he can't emigrate. But in the film, his counterpart, J.F. Sebastian, is super smart. He designs androids, but he can't leave Earth because of a hormone disorder. The originally released film Blade Runner raised the question of whether Deckard is an android, but the later director's cut release offered more hints. In the novel, Deckard takes the Voight-Kampff test, also known as the empathy test, which reveals whether he is human or if the test has its own drawbacks. The novel explains that androids can only live for approximately 4 years because their cells deteriorate and cannot be replaced. However, the film portrays this 4-year lifespan as a safety measure to prevent androids from becoming too human. Additionally, the novel states that it's illegal for humans and androids to have sexual associations. However, in Blade Runner, there is a pleasure model replicant which is specifically designed to serve and meet humans' sexual needs. These are all just tips of the iceberg. We're just getting started. Blade Runner 1982, the story that started it all. Ridley Scott's Blade Runner, often regarded as a cinematic milestone, has masterfully woven detective noir with science fiction. The movie depicts a bustling, polluted city filled with massive, eye-catching advertisements. Tall skyscrapers crowd the skyline, and flying cars fill the air. At the heart of the story, we have Rick Deckard, played by Harrison Ford, a tired, former Blade Runner who must come out of retirement for one last job. He needs to retire 4 Nexus 6 replicants, Roy Batty, Pris, Leon, and Zora, who have returned to Earth after escaping from an off-world colony. Their escape has a purpose, a goal, to find their creator, Dr. Eldon Tyrell, and try to extend their 4-year lifespan. Because they are Nexus 6 models, they are stronger, faster, and more lifelike than other replicants. But who is their creator? It's none other than Eldon Tyrell, played by Joe Turkel, who is the CEO of the Tyrell Corporation and the creator of synthetic humans, who are also called replicants in the movieverse. These replicants work as slave labor on off-world colonies and are banned on Earth because of their strength and intelligence. Now coming back to the main story. Deckard and Officer Gaff visit Tyrell Corporation to see the accuracy of the Voight-Kampff test on a Nexus 6 replicant. But Tyrell himself doubts the test's effectiveness, so Deckard tests his assistant, Rachel. While the test usually takes about 30 questions, Deckard ends up asking Rachel over 100. Afterward, he tells Tyrell that the results indicate Rachel is a replicant. Tyrell reveals that Rachel is an experimental model with implanted memories to provide her an emotional cushion, making her believe that she had a human childhood, past, and soul, which is why the test took longer. After that, Deckard starts to investigate Leon's apartment and take some photos along with a snake scale. On his way home, Rachel stops him and says she found out what Tyrell said about her. She claims it's not true. To prove it, she shows Deckard a childhood photo of herself with her mother. Deckard tells her that the photo and her memories come from other people, mainly Tyrell's nieces. Hearing this, Rachel gets really upset and leaves. In his apartment, Deckard dreams of a unicorn before waking up to study Leon's photographs. He notices a woman with a snake tattoo and heads to Chinatown, where a woman identifies the snake scale from Leon's apartment as artificial. Deckard learns that the craftsman who made the snake has a nearby store, where he discovers it was made for a club. Deckard arrives at the club and recognizes a dancer named Miss Salome, who is actually Zora with a snake tattoo. When she tries to flee, he chases her down and retires her. Later, Bryant informs Deckard that he still needs to retire or kill 4 replicants, including Rachel, who has forsaken the Tyrell Corporation. After speaking with Bryant, Deckard attempts to follow Rachel but is attacked by Leon, who catches him off guard and disarms him. Just as Leon is about to deliver a final blow, Rachel shoots him in the head. Grateful for her intervention, Deckard allows Rachel to hide at his apartment, despite having orders to retire her. As they start spending time together, they grow a lot closer and start developing feelings for each other. As Deckard continues his investigation, Roy and his rebellious friends are also simultaneously pursuing ways to extend their lifespans. Before Leon's death, he and Roy encountered a replicant eye designer who suggested they consult Tyrell for answers. He also advised them to find J.F. Sebastian, a genetic designer at Tyrell Corporation, who could lead them to Tyrell. Later, Pris naps in an alley when Sebastian finds her and invites her to stay at his spacious Bradbury building, filled with his bizarre dolls. She invites her friend, Roy, who reveals to Sebastian that they are replicants and will soon die without help. Sympathetic due to his own short lifespan, Sebastian arranges a meeting with Tyrell. During their visit, Roy confronts Tyrell, demanding an extended lifespan. When Tyrell denies him, Roy kisses him and then murders both Tyrell and Sebastian. After Bryant informs Deckard of Tyrell and Sebastian's deaths, Deckard calls Sebastian's apartment. Pris answers but hangs up, leading him to the Bradbury building, where she attacks him while hiding among lifelike dolls. Despite her agility, Deckard eventually overpowers and retires her. Roy arrives and, upon finding Pris's body, becomes furious. After Deckard shoots at him, Roy retaliates by injuring Deckard's fingers. When Deckard struggles to aim, he flees to another room, chased by Roy, whose body is also slowly deteriorating as his arms are starting to malfunction. On the roof, Deckard tries to jump to another building, but hangs on the ledge. Roy finds him and chooses to save him, delivering the famous Tears in the Rain monologue, which goes something like, "I've seen and experienced things you people wouldn't believe. All those moments will be lost in time, like tears in rain." After Deckard is saved, he goes back to his apartment. He and Rachel then run away together. But is this really the end? Before leaving, Deckard finds an origami unicorn made by Gaff, which raises the burning question that fans and audiences have been asking for ages. Is Deckard himself a replicant? The status of which is still unclear, but there are some subtle clues, never confirmed, such as Gaff's origami unicorn, which hints at knowledge of Deckard's dreams, which could be a sign that they may be implanted memories, or that Deckard does not have much of a backstory. He appears detached and has a mechanical quality. However, he is able to connect with Rachel, which suggests that he might have non-human traits. Yet we see his empathy, which hints at some emotional, human side of him. Is it human, or just a replicant evolving past its design? Ridley Scott has mentioned in several of his interviews that he meant for Deckard to be a replicant, but Harrison Ford insists he played him as human. The intriguing aspect is that the movie deliberately leaves this open-ended. It doesn't aim to give a clear answer. Instead, it wants you to sit with the question and figure it out for yourself. And now we're coming to the most interesting part of Blade Runner's legacy, which lies in both its on-screen content and its various cuts and endings that have emerged over time. Several versions of the movie have been released. The original work print version, released in 1982, ran for 113 minutes and was shown to audiences in Denver and Dallas. Negative feedback from these previews led to changes that resulted in the US theatrical version, which also had two versions. The US theatrical version, also known as the original version or domestic cut, which ran for 117 minutes, and the international cut, also referred to as the Criterion Edition or uncut version. The international cut included more violent scenes than the US version and was distributed in Europe and Asia through local Warner Home Video releases. Ridley Scott's director's cut, released in 1992, runs for 116 minutes and made significant changes to the theatrical version. This cut removed Deckard's voiceover, reinserted a scene where Deckard dreams of a unicorn, and eliminated the studio-imposed happy ending. Scott worked closely with film preservationist Michael Arick, who led the creation of the director's cut with Scott's guidance. Finally, we have Scott's definitive version, the final cut, released in 2007, which ran for 117 minutes and was released theatrically by Warner Brothers. This is the only version over which Scott had full artistic and editorial control. It was later released on Ultra HD Blu-ray in September 2017. Between the films, the canon shorts and missing years. After the 1982 movie, a sequel titled Blade Runner 2049 was released. Additionally, several short films bridge the gap between these two movies, enriching the overall canon. Blade Runner Blackout 2022. Blade Runner Blackout 2022 is a short anime film in the cyberpunk style. It's directed by Shinichiro Watanabe and serves as a prequel to Blade Runner 2049. The anime begins in 2022, showing us how the Tyrell Corporation has created a new line of replicants called Nexus 8. These replicants have lifespans just like regular humans, and this development upsets many people, leading to a movement that supports human superiority. superiority. Now the group has started to hunt and kill replicants. While all of this is happening, one replicant named Trixie is attacked by a gang but is saved by Iggy. 2 weeks ago, Trixie became friends with Ren Duss, a technician at the Tyrell Corporation who's responsible for launching nuclear missiles. Iggy comes up with a plan with Trixie to destroy the Tyrell Corporation's database of registered replicants. Clever plan, because if the main database is destroyed, the witch hunt of replicants will come to a stop. But can they trust Ren, who is a human? To this, Iggy shares that he used to be a soldier, but left when he realized the enemy soldiers he fought against were also replicants. As planned, Ren redirects an electromagnetic pulse, EMP, nuclear missile to explode over Los Angeles. This causes a blackout in the city and destroys all electronic data. At the same time, Ren and Iggy steal a fuel truck to eliminate the Tyrell Corporation's servers. They successfully destroyed the servers and cut off power to Los Angeles. However, security forces kill Trixie during the operation. Iggy escapes and removes his right eye, which is the only thing that could identify him as a replicant. 2036, Nexus Dawn. The film, also a prequel to Blade Runner 2049, takes place in Los Angeles in 2036, 13 years before the events of 2049, and tells the story of Neander Wallace, the blind CEO of the Wallace Corporation, who wants to create a new generation of replicants, Nexus 9. Wallace attends a hearing about his plans and is told that what he is doing is illegal and cannot be debated. He challenges this by saying they are, in fact, discussing it. Wallace argues that the Earth's ecosystem is failing, and the only way to support humanity is through cheap labor from replicants. He insists that the new replicants are safe for humans, but the lawmakers do not share his confidence. To prove his point, he asks his replicant assistant, a new Nexus 9 replicant, to cut himself and choose between saving Wallace or his own life. The replicant, without any hesitation, proceeds to cut his own throat, shocking the lawmakers. Wallace then asks them again if they will approve the production of new replicants. One thing is apparent for sure: Blade Runner Blackout 2022 showcased the collapse of the Tyrell Corporation, and this 2036 movie hints at the rise of the new Wallace Corporation. 2048, Nowhere to Run. The movie is set in Los Angeles in 2048, which is just 1 year before the events of Blade Runner 2049. It delves into Sapper Morton's backstory as he intervenes to protect a mother and her daughter from some thugs, which ultimately leads to his replicant status being reported. The movie starts with Sapper Morton, a Nexus 8 replicant, crying into a mirror. He washes his face and puts on his glasses. While walking through a busy street, a group of thugs approaches him, but he ignores them. He meets Ella, someone he knows, and gives her the book The Power and the Glory, which he liked. After that, Sapper goes to a market to sell the nematodes he collected and gets paid $3,000, which is $1,000 less than he needs. After leaving the market, he witnesses Ella and her mother being attacked by the same thugs he had ignored earlier. This scene makes him angry, so in a fit of rage, Sapper beats the thugs, accidentally killing at least 2 of them. He leaves the scene but accidentally drops his identification papers. A bystander, who had seen Sapper before, calls the LAPD, believing he has found a rogue replicant. Blade Runner 2049, the next chapter of the mythology. Discussions related to the Blade Runner sequel started way back in the 90s, but some licensing problems got in the way. Andrew Kassovi and Broderick Johnson snagged the film rights from Bud Yorkin. Ridley Scott originally planned to direct, but ended up stepping back to be an executive producer, and then Villeneuve was brought in to direct instead. The film was released in 2017, starring Ryan Gosling as replicant Blade Runner KD6 3.7, along with Harrison Ford reprising his former role. In the future, a replicant Blade Runner named KD6 3.7, mostly called K, tries to examine what happened to Rachel and Deckard after they ran away. One day during a mission, he retires a farmer named Sapper Morton and finds a buried box at the barren farm. Inside, he discovers a female skeleton with evidence of a cesarean section. The presence of a serial number reveals that the skeleton belongs to a replicant, stunning K, as it was thought replicants couldn't give birth. Kay investigates and learns that the replicant is Rachel. She had a child with Deckard. To keep them safe from being hunted, Deckard entrusted Rachel to the replicant freedom movement, ensuring they are protected. Rachel stayed on Sapper's farm until she gave birth in 2021, but she died during childbirth. The replicant freedom movement hid the baby to keep its origin a secret. Deckard avoided contact to keep his child safe. Now, this replicant freedom movement is nothing new, so Remember that short movie, Blade Runner Blackout 2022 we talked about? This whole thing is unfolding during the time when Ren and Iggy ran a fuel truck to take out the Tyrell Corporation's servers. They successfully destroyed the servers and cut off power to Los Angeles, aka the blackout, which lasted for 10 days. After such a disaster, the production of replicants is banned, and the Tyrell Corporation goes bankrupt. This causes major problems, and by the mid-2020s, people start facing economic difficulties and food shortages worldwide. In 2025, a new hope emerges in the form of the Wallace Corporation, which creates synthetic farming, solving the global food crisis and making the company extremely powerful. In 2028, the Wallace Corporation acquires the Tyrell Corporation and begins enhancing replicant technology. They create the Nexus 9 replicants, which are more obedient than earlier models, allowing them to resume replicant production. They use Nexus 9s as slave labor for interstellar colonization. By 2049, they have produced millions of replicants and colonized 9 planets. Coming back to Blade Runner 2049, Kay and Lieutenant Joshi are shocked to discover that replicants can reproduce. This revelation blurs the line between replicants and humans, and Joshi fears that public awareness of this capability could disrupt society and lead to chaos. Joshi, determined to keep the truth hidden, tells Kay to find and eliminate the replicant child. She also instructs the forensic team to dispose of Rachel's remains, but for some reason, Kay takes some of Rachel's hair before leaving. Kay has only ever retired replicants, so he feels torn about destroying someone who was born instead of created. This pushes him to investigate the replicant child and uncover secrets that have been hidden for decades. Kay believes he's a Nexus 9 replicant with implanted memories until he discovers evidence suggesting he might be the replicant child. So he returns to Sapper's farm and finds a date carved on a tree where Rachel was buried, 6/10/21. This, for some reason, resonates with him as he recalls a childhood memory from an orphanage where boys chased him for his wooden horse toy. He notices the same date carved on the toy, which he hid in a furnace. Initially, he thought the memory was fake, but now he believes it has to be real. To find some answers, Kay searches the DNA bank for children born on a specific date. He finds a boy and a girl with identical DNA, which is impossible because identical twins must be the same sex. Kay realizes that one of them must be a copy. The records from an orphanage show that the girl died, leading Kay to believe he is the replicant child. When he visits the orphanage, he discovers a wooden horse toy in the furnace. Later, he meets Dr. Anna Steline, who makes fake memories for replicants. She confirms that his childhood memory is real. However, this investigation is not helping Kay remain the obedient replicant that he was before, and when he returns to the police station to take the baseline test, he fails it. But what is this test, you might ask? This test is designed to detect any emotions or feelings in replicant Blade Runners. These emotions are considered undesirable and can lead to retirement. And since Kay failed his test, Joshi suspends him for 48 hours. After that, he must pass the test or he will be retired. Kay takes a wooden horse toy to a pawn shop owner for examination. They determine it's from Las Vegas due to the wood and high levels of radioactivity. After gathering the information and the toy, Kay transfers someone virtual into a movable projector, his holographic girlfriend Joy, and sets off to Las Vegas, where he finds Deckard living in an abandoned casino. After a brief fight, Deckard agrees to answer Kay's questions. During questioning, Kay learns that Deckard has never met his child. He left a pregnant Rachel with the Replicant Freedom Movement. Deckard did this to keep them safe because the Los Angeles Police Department was still hunting them. He still doesn't know where the child is. He thought this was the best choice for the child's safety in case he ever got captured. You all might think that Kay is the only one on the hunt for the replicant kid. However, early in his search, Kay had taken Rachel's hair sample to the Wallace Corporation, and a replicant named Love helped him determine who it belonged to. That's when Neander Wallace, the company's CEO, realizes that Rachel is the replicant who had a child. He's eager to create more replicants that can reproduce to have a bigger pool of slaves, so he sends Love out to track down the replicant kid. While searching, Love steals Rachel's remains and keeps a close watch on Kay. When Kay leaves for Los Angeles, Love tortures Joshi to find out where he is. Joshi refuses to answer, so Love kills her and uses her face to unlock the computer and locate Kay. Love, along with a set of Wallace's goons, heads to Vegas to find Kay. They end up ambushing him and Deckard in a rundown casino. During the confrontation, she seriously injures Kay, destroys his AI girlfriend Joy, kidnaps kidnaps Deckard and abandons Kay to die. Just when it seems Kay is going to give in to death, he is saved by the Replicant Freedom Movement, which is also tracking him to know what he knows about the Replicant child. They follow Kay to Las Vegas and rescue him after Love attacks him. They take him to a safe place to treat his injuries. After being treated, Kay meets Freyza Sadapor, the leader of the group. She tells him she was with Rachel when she gave birth and reveals that the Replicant child is a girl. This is hard for Kay to accept because he wanted to believe he was special, a unique replicant-human hybrid rather than just a soulless machine. To protect the child, the Replicant Freedom Movement placed her in an orphanage and changed the records to make it seem like she died and her twin brother grew up there. Deckard taught them how to do this, so Freyza encourages Kay to locate and eliminate Deckard. She wants to stop Wallace from getting information about the movement from him. As far as Deckard is concerned, he is taken to Wallace by Love, who tries to extract the location of the replicant child. When that fails, Wallace orders Love to take Deckard off-world for torture. In pursuit, Kay shoots down their flying car, leading to a crash near the ocean. In a fierce battle, Kay drowns Love and rescues Deckard just before the vehicle sinks. This helps them because now everyone will believe Deckard is dead from the crash and stop looking for him. Even though Kay is gravely injured, he helps Deckard reunite with his daughter, who is none other than Dr. Anna Steline. He realizes Anna is the replicant child when Freyza reveals the child was a girl. Kay had previously visited Anna for her expertise in creating false memories. During a memory session with Kay's wooden horse toy, Anna cried, confirming the memory as real. Kay initially believed it was his memory, but it was actually hers, and she had illegally implanted it in some replicants. As Deckard meets Anna inside Steline Laboratories, Kay remains outside, where it's implied he dies. His sacrifice is something he chooses for himself, which really shows the essence of humanity present within him, and it proves he's not just some obedient replicant of the Wallace Corporation. Other media, games, comics, and expanded universe. Even though it didn't get appreciated by audiences at first, Blade Runner ended up being a super popular movie worldwide and built a loyal fan base. The dark vibes and futuristic visuals set a standard, and you can totally see its influence in several sci-fi movies that emerged later, video games, TV shows, and even anime. Now, let's dive into some of those inspired media. Video game Blade Runner 1997. The video game Blade Runner was released in 1997 by Westwood Studios and was a groundbreaking game for its time. It introduced a point-and-click adventure game, set in the same year and city as the original film. Instead of simply retelling Deckard's story, the game runs parallel to the movie's events, creating a rich and immersive side narrative that subtly intersects with the film's timeline. The story follows rookie Blade Runner Ray McCoy as he hunts replicants in Los Angeles, California in the year 2019. He's searching for animal murder, but it quickly gets complicated when he discovers it's connected to escaped replicants hiding out on Earth. Just like in the movie, the setting is a grimy, polluted Los Angeles, all brought to life with the cutting-edge 3D real-time tech of the time. Players get to explore familiar spots from the film, such as the massive Tyrell Pyramid, the Yukon Hotel, and the Bradbury Apartments. McCoy needs to find the group of rogue replicants and retire them. The game starts off complex and stays that way until the end. Players will move through various crime scenes to gather evidence. It requires careful observation and detective skills. Players are able to keep track of all the clues they find in the KIA database within the game. The game allows players to make choices and includes random events that change the story. There are 13 different endings. In some endings, McCoy hunts down the replicants. In others, he sides with the replicants, or he chooses to side with neither and leaves the city. If he leaves, he can go alone, with Dectora, or with Lucy. In March 2020, Night Dive Studios announced they were working on a remastered version called Blade Runner Enhanced Edition for PC, PlayStation 4, Nintendo Switch, and Xbox One, and it was set to hit digital stores. It was initially supposed to drop in 2020, but the release got pushed back to June 2022. Video game Blade Runner 2033 Labyrinth. Blade Runner 2033 Labyrinth is a new adventure video game being developed and published by Annapurna Interactive in collaboration with Alcon Entertainment, the current license holders, to ensure canon consistency. It's going to be the first Blade Runner game in over 25 years and will be available on PC and consoles. The game takes place after the LA blackout in 2022 and follows a Blade Runner during a time when there are no replicants to hunt. Reports suggest suggest that the story will focus on memory reconstruction and the pursuit of rogue replicants. Blade Runner 2019, Titan Comics. Blade Runner 2019 is a comic book series with 12 issues published by Titan Comics. It was written by Michael Green and Mike Johnson, and Alcon Entertainment ensured that everything remained consistent with the films. The first issue came out in July 2019, and the last one hit the shelves in November 2020. The story revolves around themes of class division among replicants and humans, the rights of replicants, and the trafficking of individuals off-world. The story introduces a new character, Blade Runner Anna Ashina, who must find Isabel and Cleo Selwyn, the wife and daughter of businessman Alexander Selwyn. As Ashina investigates, she learns that Cleo has a genetic mutation and that Selwyn plans to give his daughter to the Tyrell Corporation. To protect Cleo and her mother, who's actually a replicant made to look like her late mother, Ashina decides to turn against her client and her career. After Isabel's death, Ash takes care of Cleo. She escapes to the off-world colonies, where they stay for several years until Selwyn's agents find them. Ash leaves Cleo with another replicant of Isabel and returns to Earth. There, she meets a group of replicant fighters led by Freyza Sadegpour. Together, they finally remove Selwyn as a threat to his daughter. Comic, Blade Runner 2029 and Blade Runner 2039. Blade Runner 2029 is a comic book series that follows up on Blade Runner 2019. It kicked off in December 2020 and wrapped up in February 2022. The story takes place during the Blackout 2022 and Nexus Dawn era, capturing the significant changes that occurred during those years. In 2029, Ash starts her job again as a Blade Runner. She's assigned to check on the Sepulveda Sea Wall because the Los Angeles Police Department got a tip that replicants are working there. During her investigation, she comes across a replicant who sacrifices himself right in front of her by jumping to his death, not before saying, "Jotun redeems." Ash recognizes Jotun as a replicant. She did not retire in 2017. This discovery leads her to find out that Jotun is building an army of replicants to fight against humans while searching for a secret hidden by Eldon Tyrell. And Blade Runner 2039 serves as the grand finale of the Anna Ashina trilogy by Titan Comics. This captivating series was released in December 2022 and came to an end in April 2024. The relentless Nexus 9 Blade Runner Love has been tasked with locating the replicant version of Isabel Selwyn, which is intended for use in Neander Wallace's ongoing replicant search. Meanwhile, Isabel's daughter Cleo also returns to Los Angeles in hopes of seeking Ash's assistance, convinced that Neander Wallace is holding her mother captive. Blade Runner Origins, Titan Comics. Blade Runner Origins is a comic book series by Titan Comics written by Kay Perkins, Mike Johnson, and Mello Brown. It takes place 10 years before the 1982 film Blade Runner. The story follows LAPD detective Cal Moreau as he investigates the apparent suicide of Dr. Lydia Kine, a bioengineer at the Tyrell Corporation. During his investigation, he finds out that she was likely murdered and that a prototype Nexus 5 escaped on the same night. Moreau continues to uncover secrets kept by the Tyrell Corporation, revealing corporate conspiracies and ethical cover-ups that lead to the Nexus program. The series started in March 2021 and concluded in June 2022. In June 2024, editor David Leitch announced that a second series, titled Cascade Year 2, would be released. However, no release date has been set. Blade Runner Black Lotus anime. Blade Runner Black Lotus is a 13-episode anime series that dives into the Blade Runner franchise. It's made by Sala Digital Arts, directed by Shinji Aramaki and Kenji Kamiyama, and features creative producer Shinichiro Watanabe, who also directed Blade Runner Blackout 2022. The story follows an amnesiac replicant named Elle, who wakes up in the desert and heads to Los Angeles. Set in 2032, as she pieces together her identity and past, she is sworn to get revenge against a group of hunters who've been after her and others for sport. The series debuted on Adult Swim and Crunchyroll in November 2021 and completed in February 2022. A sequel was also released later in 2022 as a 4-issue comic book. The Future, Blade Runner 2099 and beyond. In 2022, when Amazon Prime Video announced that they would be continuing the story from Ridley Scott's classic movie Blade Runner, since then, it's been one of the most talked about shows. Blade Runner 2099 is going to be a live-action series produced by Ridley Scott along with Alcon Television. It's the first time the franchise is diving into long-form TV storytelling. Set 50 years after Blade Runner 2049, this show will take take the universe into new and exciting areas, both in terms of time and themes. With production wrapped up in late December 2024, we may see it soon on our screens. The synopsis for Blade Runner 2099 has been released recently, and it mentions that the backdrop will be 2099 Los Angeles. A new character named Cora, which will be played by Hunter Schafer, has spent most of her life on the run, changing her identity many times. She takes on one last identity to secure a better future for her brother. To do this, she partners with Olwen, who will be played by Michelle Yeoh. Olwen is a replicant facing the end of her life. What's more interesting is that there are rumors about the Blade Runner franchise being connected to the Alien movie. When you think about it, these films together really delve into what it means to be human and what sets the creator apart from their creation. So how are these universes connected? There are notable similarities between the worlds of Blade Runner and Alien, despite their timeline being decades apart. Both depict a future where humanity is expanding off Earth, establishing colonies and mining operations. The aesthetic of both franchises is also very similar, featuring grungy, dilapidated industrial architecture and outdated technology. While Earth's depiction in the Alien films is minimal, it suggests a planet that has seen better days, much like in Blade Runner. The most significant connections lie in the presence of lifelike androids and large corporations, such as the Tyrell Corporation in Blade Runner and Weyland-Yutani in Alien, which is where the two narratives intertwine. The connections between Blade Runner and Alien emerged with the release of the Alien 20th Anniversary Edition DVD in 1999. A bonus feature revealed that Tom Skerritt's character Dallas worked for the Tyrell Corporation before joining Weyland-Yutani. In the director's commentary, Ridley Scott mentioned that the Earth of the Nostromo crew is the same as that of Rick Deckard, suggesting that the Blade Runner ads aimed to recruit people like Ellen Ripley for corporate jobs. A clear connection between the two franchises was established with the Blu-ray release of Prometheus in 2012. This set includes a booklet with an excerpt from a diary written by Guy Pearce's character Peter Weyland. In the excerpt, Weyland talks about his experiences with his mentor, who is clearly Dr. Eldon Tyrell from Blade Runner. He mentions how the failures of Tyrell's replicants motivated him to create a better and more obedient class of androids. This connection shows a clear timeline for the two franchises and how android technology has evolved from Blade Runner to Alien. During the early 21st century, the Tyrell Corporation created the first android models, naming them replicants. They were designed to be stronger than humans and could perform dangerous tasks in space or serve as companions for workers off-world. However, because they had short lifespans and unstable emotions, replicants were not allowed to travel to Earth. Tyrell worked hard to improve his invention and finally created Rachel, an android that looked so real she didn't know she wasn't human. After Tyrell died, his company continued his work. The last group of Nexus 8 model replicants did not have limited lifespans, but they struggled with their emotions and were troubled by their lack of humanity. Nevertheless, in the mid to late 21st century, inventors like Weyland and Neander Wallace improved android technology. By the time Weyland-Yutani became well known, its androids were created to be completely obedient. However, they still had some emotions and a desire to understand their strange existence. Now that we've gone over the upcoming series and its possible connection to the Alien franchise, let's dive into how relevant the Blade Runner franchise is becoming these days. The themes that defined Blade Runner in 1982, if you kind of think about it, they've become our reality. In Blade Runner, you've got cameras keeping an eye on you from every neon-lit spot. In today's world, with facial recognition, predictive policing, and AI drones, we're also being watched, minus the flying cars. Just as in Blade Runner, biotechnology and bioengineering played a role in replicant creation. Today, we use the same type of technology and methods to make advancements as a society and make it easier for us humans in some way. As people on Earth, we're increasingly close to ending up in a world like that of Blade Runner, where pollution, acid rain, and ecological disasters have taken over. If we're not careful in the coming years, the sci-fi we admire from screens could become a living nightmare reality. Marvelous verdict. And that's a wrap on the world of Blade Runner. And it was a long ride from the rain-drenched neon streets of 2019 to the looming future of 2099. If you think about it, as the line between human and machine continues to blur, Blade Runner hits harder than ever, doesn't it? Or is it just me? Nevertheless, before ending today's video, don't forget to share your thoughts on Rick Deckard. Is he human or a replicant? And are we already living in the world of Blade Runner? If we missed anything, please mention it in the comment section below. Until next time, till then, take care, stay safe, and have a marvelous day ahead.